Welcome to Stoke the Fire and welcome to 2018. This is your special program with Pamela Cucinell, my colleague who's on the other channel, and myself, Suzy Meszoly. And we will be talking about this new year, 2018, how very special it is, what are some of the astrological highlights of the year, and what are some of the things that we can look to for our own spiritual development. And if you're new to Stoke the Fire, you can join us every week. We are on YouTube on Mondays, where Pamela Cucinell, who's a fabulous astrologer from New York, gives us the week ahead of what's going to be happening and what we can look out for and how we can navigate the celestial flow of energies. And then I, Suzy Meszoly, from upstate New York, give you actually from Australia, give you the meditation. It's a powerful activation, which I more or less channel with the master teachers, and it is tuned into what is happening that week. It's about a half-hour program. We also talk about other things that we're doing, other projects, other courses that we're offering, about our private services to help you with your spiritual development or with your health. And you can also become a member of the Stoke the Fire group, which means that you get the encapsulated version sent to you on a Sunday night before the week starts, and that is able to be found at our website, www.StokeTheFire.guru, and we have a number of specials there if you'd like to sign up with us. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. But first, let's talk about just this new year coming up in the grand strokes of 2018. I'm sure many of you are already feeling the profound shift in energy, and I'm sure many of you are happy to say goodbye to 2017. I know that it was a hard year for many people. Lots and lots of changes were happening. Lots of people had really major shifts in their lives. And I know that a lot of people really are looking forward to 2018. So hi, Pam, and welcome to 2018. I know we're recording this actually on January the 4th in New York, where we are experiencing a very, very big blizzard, a very big storm. So if you hear the winds, that's really happening out there, folks. And so I hope, Pam, that we'll be able to get through our program without losing power this time. And welcome, Happy New Year, and how are you doing? What do you think about 2018?
Okay, 2018, and just for clarity, usually when we do these forecasts and energetic activations every Monday, as Suzy said, it's more of about a half hour, and we're pretty much just talking about the upcoming week. But this particular episode is more of an overview highlight for 2018 coming ahead, and our StokeTheFire.guru members who get the encapsulated version, just the audio, very clean, just me talking 20 minutes, and then Suzy giving her energetic activation. They will get that Sunday night. That gives them the regular weekly forecast, and in tandem they can see or receive this piece, which is the overview. And I'm going to do a more comprehensive overview, just astrology, that you can find out about by going to spotonastrology.com. But Suzy and I are going to have a conversation right now, which should be fun because we like to talk together. But 2018 is one of the big things about it is that looking at it from a numerological point of view, we left the 1 year of 2017 and we've entered actually an 11 year. It can distill down to a 2, but it would be really nice if we hold that vibrational energy of 11, because 11 is a master number, and it's about 2 different pillars coming together and holding a frame. So it's the unconscious, the conscious, the earth plane, the heaven plane, and how it creates a foundation that's a portal for us to really continue to evolve in an evolutionary spiritual capacity. So what we witnessed with the 1 year of 2017 was a lot of separation, a lot of division. What camp are you in? What belief system are you in? And that's very polarizing. It's impossible to get any work done when people are so diametrically opposed. What we seek in this 2018 year is we're seeking some sort of resolution, some sort of give, where we're looking at what is the important thing in the center that brings people together. How do we bridge? How do we come together? How do we open up doorways? So I think it's very interesting from an astrological perspective that January 1st opened with this big juicy supermoon, which I don't know if you were able to see it, but it was absolutely gorgeous where I live in New York. But the supermoon is a word coined by an astrologer some time back on the net, and now even astronomers have adopted it. And basically it refers to when the moon is in perigee, when it's as close as it gets to the Earth in its orbit. So it can be big, awesome, and beautiful, which it was on January 1st and even the 2nd. So that has a vibrational energy to it, because full moons are all about integration. How are we integrating energy? And then January 31st is the second full moon of the month, once in a blue moon in the month when it actually occurs. And it also is a super moon, but it also is a solar eclipse. So that's going to really, really shine a lot of emphasis on, are we integrating? Are we putting things together in a way where we are working on bridging? Are we pulling together separate camps? I mean, it's a lunar eclipse. I'm sorry, that was my slip. So what occurs with a lunar eclipse is you see the full moon, but then there's a shadow over it as the Earth basically is blocking view. So what that means is the juicy thing about a lunar eclipse is the moon is, it's how we react emotionally, how we are as an emotional body. And in 2017, there was a lot of deer in the headlight action where people were just feeling very at the mercy of whatever the media or whatever was going out there with this has happened and that has happened and this has happened. So we're being asked to really integrate what's important to us as this year opens, what matters with your emotional, psychological well-being. And are you always like endlessly distracted by information or whatever's coming through? Or are you keeping a bead on where you want to go? So this year has much more support for many of us to be able to kind of put our anchors down on what really matters. And it's not just what matters in a, well, I think this and you think that. What matters in the big perspective, the overall unfolding and frame. So Suzy, you were coming off of a trip at the beginning of this month. Did you notice or feel anything with this super moon on January 1st? And then the other thing that happened was the planet Uranus went direct, which is a shift of continuing to have things move quickly as it makes its last, well, not quite its last, but as it's at the end of the sign of Aries.
Well, for some people that might be new to us, haven't been following my itinerary, I just got back from France, where I was in the south of France, in the Languedoc region, visiting medieval castles and visiting Visigoth chateaus and following some of the information about the Mary Magdalene lineage, and also visiting mountains where apparently UFOs are known to land, etc., where there are portals into inner Earth. So fascinating trip. And definitely visited a lot of caves and climbed a lot of mountains in a very short period of time, and have come back to the supermoon feeling incredibly grounded and incredibly clear and very, very peaceful. And just the little bit of work that I've done already this year with clients and with students, definitely seeing that, like I said before, people are very happy to say goodbye to 2017, and this really feels like 2018 is really the year where we really are able to come into our power. And just listening to people, what they're saying, how they're coming about their awareness, how they're making decisions now, sounds like it's much more coming from what I would call spiritual intention rather than materialistic fear of survival or planning according to society. I really think this year is about people coming into their own power. And of course, the number 11 is when we look at it symbolically, to me, it's really like left brain and right brain, the two sides of the brain, both equally powerful, both equally important for us to be here on the planet. But how do we get that balance? Because a lot of people are more in one area than the other side. And to me, this number 11 is how do we really motivate and push ourselves, which actually 2017 really was the motivation, the push, to come into this higher octave, to come into this mastership. And if I speak like in a bigger spiritual sense, I think a lot of people have been on this merry-go-round or in the wheel of samsara, reincarnating on this planet for a really long time. And many, many lessons have come to fruition. And in 2018, I think a lot of us will have this opportunity to really jumpstart into a higher version of ourselves, which means that we're shifting the perspective, and shifting where we place responsibility. So responsibility comes more within, like completely within, like I'm responsible 100% for me and what happens to me, and there's no more finger pointing. And as that happens, I think a lot of truths come to the surface, a lot of secrets are unveiled, which I know is part of the astrology that you're going to point out for this year. The master teachers have talked a lot about this, about how information comes to the foreground, and so much information is coming to us now, hidden archaeological sites, political intrigues, man in space, etc. I mean, there's so much information coming at us, and again, that's where this number 11, this place of balance. And just to throw it in there, like when I was in France visiting the Languedoc, you know, I was picking up stickers for my car, Cathars, the Knights Templar symbols, and this is the symbol for the Languedoc region, the number 11. So I just think that's a little bit of synchronicity there. And I am taking group tours back to the Languedoc. We have one in April this year, which I think at this point is actually full. But if you're interested to travel to France, to the Languedoc, to visit some of these mysteries with the school, please contact us through the website, energyhealingschoolny.com, or Suzy Meszoly -healer. And Pam and I will talk a little bit more about all the other things that we do, which are so exciting that you can do with us in 2018.
Indeed.
So Pam, can I jump back in? I've got all my notes for the year for the astrology.
Okay.
So there's the first full moon that happened already. There's another super moon on January the 31st. Right?
Right.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Indeed. Yes, it's true.
And then we have Uranus also has gone direct on January the 2nd, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So what does that mean?
Well, it's going through its last leg of Aries. However, even as I say that, it will dip its toe back into Aries towards the end of the year, because what's happening is Uranus says it's finishing with Aries, and Uranus is the planet that's got to do with revolution, chaos, change. It was discovered during the French and American revolutions, so it represents freedom, individuality, inspiration, genius. And in the sign of Aries, which is the first sign, there's been a lot of like rip-roaring declarations of what someone wants to do and how they want to do it. And it hasn't really been very easy energy. Uranus goes into the sign of Taurus for the first time on May 15th, which is also the new moon in Taurus. And once that shift starts to occur, we're really moving from what was in 2017 a lot of yang energy with Saturn in Sagittarius, which Saturn moved into Capricorn December 19th, 2017, moving into yin energy, also Saturn's natural sign, which is Capricorn. And as you said, Saturn in Capricorn is really asking to take responsibility for one's own personal authority. So yes, certain people can kowtow under an authoritative voice, but if they do that, it's only going to hold if that authoritative voice really has integrity and the best interest of the collective underneath its thought process. Because the other thing that's occurred is Jupiter went into Scorpio last fall, and it's going to be in Scorpio through November of 2018. And Jupiter and Saturn are two sides of the father. I always think of the head, the god Janus, one looking to the future, the other looking to the past. And so Saturn is very much about what's the structure, what's the routine, what's the limits, what's your responsibility, what's your commitment, what are we afraid of? Are we really going to build a wall? But if you do that, whatever wall or segment or architecture you make, it needs to be built from a place that's very clear about creating a structure that has integrity. There is no place over the next 2.5 years for putting up false fronts, because they're just going to be blown away. House of Cards do not stand when Saturn is in Capricorn. And the other thing, as Suzy mentioned, is Jupiter in the sign of Scorpio. Jupiter is all about, let's expand, let's look to new horizons, let's be whatever it is you want to be. What is your higher purpose? But in Scorpio, you have to do the homework. You have to do the deep work first. You have to plumb the depths before you can go out and shine the light. So it is a year where things are going to be revealed. Anything, if you're going to build a new structure, will that structure hold? Will it withstand through hurricane, flood? Does it have the integrity that's worth what people want to buy into? So for your own personal authority, it goes down to the center, because it's always, these discussions always distill down to the individual. Every individual, as we've talked about before, has an effect on how all other things transpire. So the more people who are stepping up and taking responsibility for how things are happening, the firmer the foundation of 2018 as we move progressively forward, ideally towards big shifts that occurred 2020, 2022. And I did want to mention, this is the High Priestess. Let me see if you can see her. The High Priestess, which is the 2 in the tarot deck. And you see how she's sitting between 2 columns. And there's a reason for that, which is a long thing, but I'm not really going to talk about it now. But you can see how she is bridging the polarities. And she does it through deep intuition and, and to be in touch with your feeling center. The 11 there are some decks that change the position of the 11, but I'm using this deck because the 11 is justice. And justice also is often represented by the scales, which are about bringing balance, reciprocity, egalitarian relationships. And that's what we're striving for in this year. And in November, Jupiter moves into the sign of Sagittarius. So then Saturn will be in its true sign, Capricorn, and Jupiter will be in its true sign, Sagittarius. So both facets of the divine archetype of father, so patriarchal influence, which you have the father you came from, but we all internalize inner father. And inner father is about how we claim responsibility, make commitments, and discipline ourselves. And it's also about how we stretch, how we strive, what we explore, what we seek, what we discover. So that's what this year is about. It's a lot of unfolding so that ideally we can enter 2019 with a lot more togetherness than we are right now.
It's interesting actually how people also think about togetherness. And I have to say also one of the things that I'm seeing too, just in my clientele and students, is that a lot of people look at togetherness, and I would call it codependence. And I think now a lot of people are shifting and seeing what codependence is, and again stepping into their power, that it's this place of I am responsible completely from within, which is, I think, probably one of the most important things that we learn on this planet as human beings is I'm here, we're alone, we're born alone, we die alone, and to gain strength and perspective from that place without constantly seeking to this external God or this external deity or this external this or what or that, but really being empowered from within. So, and I just want to point out that we do Stoke the Fire once a week. So if you're new to this program and you're interested to go deeper into the meaning of these particular astrological events, Pamela will cover every single day of the year, 365 days of the year, when we do our weekly program, StokeTheFire.guru. You can sign up and become a member and have it sent to your email box on a Sunday night so that you are completely prepared for the week. Or you can watch us here, visually see us here on YouTube every Monday. And then Pam goes through the whole week and gives us the astrology lot to look out for the week. And then I also give us a 10-minute turbo boost activation. So how we can really develop spiritually from what's going on with in tandem with the energies of what we would call the celestial universe. So Pam, I know that there's a big day coming up as well on February the 15th. Which is also another eclipse.
Yes, it's
That's
another
the pair.
eclipse. Yeah, eclipses travel in pairs. So we have the one that happens January 31st, and then on February 15th, we have a solar eclipse. That's a solar eclipse, which is also a new moon, and it's the new moon in Aquarius. And the reason why I'm sure I'm not the only astrologer, but the reason why I've been looking so closely at this and in tandem with other things that are happening on the planet is because the degree of that eclipse is at 27 Aquarius, which is where the United States moon is in the horoscope a lot of astrologers use. United States was born on the 4th of July, 1776. So when an eclipse occurs on a person's moon, but this of course is a country's moon, what it does is it seeds it, seed and S-E-E-D, it seeds it with kind of a rebirth energy. So there's an opportunity to really move in maybe even 180 degrees directions. It still remains true to whatever energetically is indicated through the horoscope, the natal horoscope, the birth horoscope, in this case, the United States. But it can be a reboot, a new opportunity, a precursor to what a lot of my colleagues are seeing as the big shifts and changes that happen for the United States over the next several years as we head towards our Pluto return, when Pluto returns to the point it was when the United States was born. So it's going to be a very interesting day to look at, to see what's going on in the news. Overall, eclipses have, depending on what's going on with the other planets in the sky, they have a certain feel to them. And one of the things about this particular eclipse is it feels very auspicious. However, eclipses by their nature are very volatile. So something can have a good outcome, but on that day, it's still incredibly charged energy. It's almost like, wow, I got this new car and I can't wait to drive it. And I'm so excited, but I'm not really paying attention to where I'm going. So you want to make sure there's gas in the car, that you know where you're going, and you've got a map and plan. So it's a really great day to be intentionally thinking about what you want to make happen. And if you're a person who in any way is connected to the United States, I invite you to think in terms of how this country might shapeshift and be reborn in a way that is more appropriate for the country it's become, because that's what's happening in an evolutionary context for this country. How it was forged, the United States, it's evolved. The people who live in it are, yes, they've come to it for certain reasons that the country celebrates, but there's probably some tweaking that needs to occur. So it's just going to be a very interesting midwinter to see what comes through with messages, new starts, people who are rising up to be on the scene in different ways, revelations that occur, because eclipses reveal things as well. So for you personally, this can have a profound effect if you've got any planet or point in my reference, late degree fixed. So Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus. And you can check in with your favorite astrologer if you want to know more, but eclipses are, as I said, catalysts.
Pam, just to throw into that, because I just find that a lot of people feel like things just happen and that we don't actually have a say in it. And just by doing my private work with clients and working with students, I think that there quite often is this underlying sense of hopelessness or helplessness. And I think it's important for us to understand energetically that this year really is a time for us to stand in our power. And standing in our power doesn't mean you have to step outside and hold up a great big placard or step on a soapbox, but you can actually do it just by thinking very quietly by yourself in the peace and quiet of your own bedroom, is thinking, what do you want? and what is it that you want. So for example, on this big day that will possibly be a shift in America on the 15th of February, what is it, if you live in America, or if you don't, what is it that you would like to happen? So I think a lot of us now have to come into this way of thinking. People call it positive thinking. I don't like to use that terminology. I find that very dualistic. I think it's more just to understand that this consciousness, this energy field that is physically within this form, within this body, actually has a very powerful ability to construct our world. So think what you want. Think what you want for America. Think what you want for yourself this year. And don't think of the obstacles. Don't think of the things that work against you. Just think of exactly what you want. And when we do meet every week for Stoke the Fire, these are the types of things we talk about so that we can create this world anew. We can create this exactly as we want it, so that each and every single person is living to their highest potential, is living with freedom, is living in a state of liberation. That's why we do this, so that people can actually enjoy being here in this wonderful place we call planet Earth. So Pam, we have a couple of other eclipses coming up, if I understand, in the summertime as well.
Right. In the summer, we've got 2 in July and then another in August, because I said eclipses travel in pairs, but that one in the middle is basically being used by the bookend eclipses. So there's 3. But they're working off one another. So it's kind of, when you think about fireworks that pop, 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 that's what we'll be experiencing at that point in time. Now, the thing about eclipses is that the first one occurs July 12th, and that's at 20 degrees Cancer, 41 minutes. So that particular solar eclipse may or may not connect to you in a very visceral way. I mean, so much of whether you're feeling an eclipse has to do with your personal horoscope, and or if it's affecting people in your life, or in the case of the February one I just talked about, the country that you're living in. So it definitely can have an effect. Other people who really feel eclipses very strongly are people who were born at the full moon or the new moon, and sometimes even people born at quarter moons that are also known as half moons. So, and the reason for that is that in your birth horoscope, you have a very dynamic relationship with the sun and moon. So when it's mirrored in some dynamic way in the sky, it triggers those pieces of you. And this isn't, this isn't necessarily, as Suzy said, bad or good. I mean, but what it is, and one reason why I love astrology so much, is that when you're conscious of what's happening, then you can deal with it more in a way that doesn't feel like happenstance. There is a logic to it. It has a symbolic logic that the more aware we are of it, the more we can navigate the waters more effectively, instead of feeling like, oh my God, I just went into this this canal and I didn't expect turbulent waters. If you expect turbulent waters, then you are better able to deal with what comes up. And that's the piece about the personal responsibility. And it doesn't mean everybody has to be an astrologer or necessarily even tap into astrology, but it does mean that it's so important for you to tap into your wisdom that comes from a place other than just information you receive from reading or the news or wherever it comes from, because there's a lot of information inside of you. I knew that was coming. And then the second eclipse in July is a lunar eclipse, and that occurs at 4 degrees Aquarius, 45 minutes. And that one happens on the 27th of July. Now, the other thing to get a handle on eclipses and how they might be affecting you is that a lot of eclipses kind of show up again after 18 years and change. So if you look back or think back to in the summer of, what was that like for you? Because that might be indicating that this may be another revelation experience that has a similar feel to it, although ideally with 18 more years of wisdom, of perspective of how to weather and handle it. And then the last...
I have to just jump in there. The kind of like flashback, like the summer. Oh my gosh! Wow, wow. Yeah. Some of us might be blushing at this point, but can you remember where you were, folks, in summer? And if you were alive and you're watching this, yeah, where were you? What you were doing? Very interesting to think about that and to think about the cycle.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so the last eclipse occurs on August 11th, and that is also a solar eclipse, and that is 18 Leo, 42 minutes. And so the position of eclipses and what they trigger and signify can be very personal, as I said earlier, but the thing to take note of is when they occur, what's going on the planet. And of course, in 2017, that was the year we had an eclipse that even people who don't usually pay attention to anything astronomical or astrological were paying attention, because it was such a big event. And it does have reverberations that are continuing into this year that really talk about, are you really looking at what is being revealed, and do you want to take it into your own realm of responsibility and outcome? And so, yeah, I think that one thing to look at in 2018 is something I've been calling recently sanctioned distractions. So there are so many sanctioned distractions were allowed in first world countries. I mean, we can go out for drinks, we can, depending on where you live, you can enjoy marijuana, you can binge on Netflix series, you can do so many things that are basically sanctioned. They're considered okay, which is fine to do as long as you're not using it as a device to kind of keep you unaware of what your actual true feelings are. Because if you're not really being present on a consistent basis, you're kind of just coasting. And we live in such an incredibly dynamic and exceptional time on the planet that if you're feeling depressed or overwhelmed or unable to do certain things, it's okay to sit with that for a little bit, but then make a decision. What can I do? What little thing can I do that makes me feel present and part of the pleasure of being here? Because with Uranus moving into Taurus in May of 2018, May 15th, 2018, we have a total lineup of outer planet energy that's in earth and water signs, which are considered the yin or the feminine, some people call them. So that's so much about feeling very grounded in the body, being in touch with the absolute ebb and flow of feelings as they come in and feelings as they come out. And overwhelmed depression sometimes is because you're imploding. You're keeping it all inside. Don't keep it inside. dance, move your body in some way, get your body in motion, in action, so that you're able to embrace. And the more we embrace, oh boy, it's going to be a good year.
Okay, so no binging on TV, no smoking marijuana. No
well, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here. I'm just saying that.
But you can watch us on YouTube. You can binge on us on YouTube.
So aware if you're checking out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I think that there's so much impetus and there's so much motivation now. It's really hard to check out, actually, because there's so much opportunity too. Like, it's interesting, just like people I've known for 20, 30 years. I'm in my early 50s. The people I've known for a very long time are people who I think are very skeptical, or certain people that are interested in more of the material world are saying, whoa, I'm going to take this sex and tantra workshop, or I'm going to go to Iceland and do this shamanic workshop. So I think there's this like, people are just listening, they're opening up, and they're interested, and there's so many opportunities now for us to explore so many more things than Netflix, marijuana, and alcohol.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, nothing to do with movies, or I've nothing against movies or marijuana or alcohol, but try meditating sometime. So let's look. I know that we have two big planets going retrograde this year, Mars and Venus. How does that affect us, and what are the dates of that? What we should be looking out for, just to give people a couple of, just a few more little more nuggets of astrological wisdom before we start to wrap up.
Absolutely. Mars and Venus do not go retrograde together every year. So the fact that both are, the other thing that I'll talk about on my bigger thing, but you can also find out on my website, insightoasis.com, is when Jupiter goes retrograde, because that's important. But I did want to mention Venus and Mars going retrograde. Mars goes retrograde June 26th through August 28th. And when Mars is retrograde, we can feel very thwarted. We can feel like we're trudging through quicksand, like things just are not moving in the directions we want to be moving. So when I was talking earlier about, dance, move, do something physical, that's a really good time for you to be putting into practice some sort of physical meditation or exercise practice that allows you to release. Because once Mars goes direct in August, it's going to feel like whoosh, things moving very quickly. So if it's not an unwieldy, like suddenly we're moving fast, then it's kind of like, I haven't done this in a long time, but when I was a kid and there were these merry-go-rounds or things that you would be spinning on, if you didn't kind of get off the ground in a way that had impetus, you would fall. So there has to be very conscious repositioning when Mars is going direct, especially from when it's leaving the retrograde. But for some people, especially Aries and Scorpio, people who have a lot of those signs, they may feel very not in their true element when Mars is retrograde, because those signs are connected to the planet Mars more than other signs. And as a result, the ability to get ideas or desires out may feel a bit pulled back. But for everyone, there will be that sense. So where Mars is positioned as it travels through your horoscope, that'll show the area of life where maybe there's a little pulling back or hesitation through basically summer months. Then Venus goes retrograde October 5th through November 16th. And when Venus is retrograde, it's one of the signals that it's not a good time for investment. And this is actually bringing me to a thought I had about that time in general, because when it's retrograde, I'm back to the United States. I know we have people who listen from different areas, but even, even my friend who recently moved to the Netherlands and basically is a United States citizen, she said, my God, you know, the perspective once you leave that country is so different. And so people are paying attention to the United States because regardless of where they are on the planet, they can see that there's so much change and switching up that's happening in the country, that's one reason why I've put more focus on it. But November 6th is the United States midterm elections. And that is a very interesting date astrologically because yes, Venus is retrograde. So people will be feeling a pinch. They're going to be feeling as though there isn't enough money, there isn't enough love. When Venus is retrograde, people don't really spread around what they have. Buying decisions tend to get pulled back. Not a good time for a makeover. It's just, we're not feeling the love. So the election is during that point in time. The other thing that happens is that Uranus, which had been in Taurus and then went retrograde during the summer, ends up going retrograde into Aries for its truly last pass. And so that shows a lot of like wild card energy on that date, which will make for a unusually interesting election for the United States when it's in between the presidential elections. So summer into fall looks like with those two planets, Mars being how we express desire, how we move forward, that's retrograde in the summer. Venus, which is how we express love, how we spread money, how we feel intrinsic value, that's retrograde. In the autumn months, it looks like a lot of reevaluation happens, especially since Uranus goes back into Aries, and it's one more pass of what do we really care about? What does each individual care about and why? And as we move forward towards the end of the year into the following year, 2019, there'll be such an emphasis on no longer just wanting to do something different or just want to shake it up. There's going to be more of a sense of what is it we really value and where are we putting our commitment declaration and stance. So it's going to mean different things for different people, but it's an overall intriguing year, 2018.
And I just have to say, as a dog lover, and for those of you that watch,
yes,
you've seen my dogs floating in and out of our videos. One of them is here now. I know that it's not the New Year yet, but in Chinese New Year, and it's the year of the dog, which starts in February. And February the 16th, so after the 15th eclipse. And it's an Earth Dog year. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in our weekly program when we do Stoke the Fire, which you can receive in your mailbox or watch us on YouTube, StokeTheFire.guru. And it's always interesting to look at the Chinese New Year too, and where it starts and how it is seen by us here in the West. And the whole idea, I think, of providing this year ahead gives us some input and some optimism, because I know, looking at the information about Year of the Dog, it actually says it's going to be a very good year. And from what we've covered already today, it sounds like we have a lot of opportunity for growth this year, and a lot of opportunity for opening and for knowing our truth, for revelations, for deep insight. And if you would like to work deeper with us, then join us every Monday at Stoke the Fire. And if you would like to work with us individually, Pam, would you like to tell people how they can reach you?
Sure. You can find me at insightoasis.com. And for those of you who are watching this, that as of January 8th or the 13th, I'll be doing a longer program on astrology, which you can find out at spotonastrology.com. And I work with people privately, individual readings, and I also have a few programs for deeper ongoing work if you want to really focus on what your personal alchemical makeup is and how it can best work with whatever's ahead for us in this very dynamic year. So insightoasis.com is where you can find out about my programs. And Suzy?
And you can find out about working with me, Suzy Meszoly-healer.com, where I do work online with people overseas using various technologies to communicate. And I work as a healer doing spiritual counseling as well. You can also contact me for homeopathy consults, working with the natural, very profound medicine of homeopathy. And if you'd like to learn hands-on healing, I have a school, the Art of Energetic Healing School, and we have courses in New York City, upstate in Stone Ridge, also by webinar internationally, and also we have a new course opening in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, this year, 2018, starting in March. I also take people on spiritual journeys to Peru and Bolivia, to Costa Rica, and now to the Languedoc region in France, and also to Nepal. And if you're interested in any of those trips, then please contact me through SuzyMeszoly-healer.com. And if you are interested at all in working with sound medicine or using sound for your healings, I have my new CD, which we just produced at the very end of last year. And it is me playing 80 Himalayan bowls. And it is set up with the 7 chakras so that you can listen for about 8 minutes to the bowls for each chakra. And it's perfect for a healing session or for an hour meditation. And thanks to all the folks that helped me make this CD. And it's also available on CD Baby. So I think it's time for us to jump into one of our 10-minute turbo boost meditations, if that's okay with you, Pam.
Oh, goody. I was wondering if you were planning to do that. Okay.
Absolutely. So I invite people to sit as still and as quietly as they can. And if you are operating any machinery, I suggest you don't be driving a car while we're doing these meditations. They can be very strong. And off we go. Dear loved ones, we are the master teachers, and as we work together with you now, we invite you to find that place of a singularity, of independence, that place within the heart center, deep within the heart center, where you are yourself, alone, by yourself, the single identity, the I am consciousness, and just deepen into that place. And as you do, the thoughts, the ideas, the concepts, all the dogma, all of the responsibilities, all of the to-do lists, everything just melts away and becomes the present moment of you here now. And this place is so strong. It is muscly. It is powerful. It has great integrity. It has tremendous, tremendous insight and power. And as you connect with that place, as you deepen into the self, you are deepening into something that is not contained. It is not within a certain area. It is actually timeless and spaceless, and it is so huge that there are no words to describe the width and breadth of this that is you. And as you feel thus, let us now increase the frequencies as you're feeling this within yourself, feeling the hugeness, the space, the openness, and the immense potential of this soul, of this spirit, of this being, of this consciousness that you are. And as you feel this now, understand that this time now on your planet, this year that you are living in, is a time of tremendous growth, of massive potential. And understand that now your perspective, the way that you see things, the way that you actually integrate and interpret or extrapolate information will be changing radically, changing in a way that actually opens it up for you. So the more your thinking is coming from self and from self-responsibility, the more you will be creating this world around you. Because, dear loved ones, this world is just a play of your consciousness. It is just a place where your consciousness is playing with building blocks, playing with connecting rods, playing with the plasma field, with atoms, playing with the arrangement of emotions. It is just a cosmic jigsaw puzzle. And you are the one putting the pieces into the jigsaw puzzle, and you are the one creating the corners, creating the edge, creating the image, creating the story. You are the one creating the jigsaw puzzle, a holographic jigsaw puzzle, so to speak. So as you step now more into this idea, more into this understanding that you are the creator of this entire life, become with clarity, with integrity, and with honesty, so that every part of you is so honest. You are transparent, absolutely transparent. There are no secrets. Everything is revealed. Everything is to be seen. Everything is to be heard. There is no hiding. For if you have any secrets, if you are hiding any part of yourself, then this is reflected out. It is reflected in the world around you, and then the world will hide things. The universe will be in hiding, or will be not revealing everything to you. But when you step forth with integrity, with honesty, this alignment, this energetic alignment together with your entire, let's call it your entire being, is then reflected, and you see the entirety, and you see all so much more of this universe. And this is the time, dear loved ones, of such great revelation, of such great opening, just in terms of the material world. So many so-called archaeological finds are coming to light. The history of the earth, the history of humanity, literally the history of Homo sapiens. More and more archaeological data, more and more finds, as your technology and as your scientists and as all people of this planet become more open and more aware, more things are found, more things are revealed. The secrets, the conspiracies in politics, in culture, in the church, in society, all of these things now start to see the light of day. And this will require some change in thinking. It will require even some changes in structure. But it is all, your loved ones, for the greater good, because this is where humanity comes up several levels, and it's able to function on a different perspective, a different way of understanding. And it is not about competition, who beats who and who's bigger and who's taller. It is about cooperation. And this is truly the meaning of this number 11. It is the cooperation. It is the cooperation of the two sides, however you see those two sides. The two sides perhaps of light or dark, of war and peace, of male and female, however dualistically you divide up this universe for yourself. Understand that the number 11 is where two things stand in equalness. Two things stand together, stand tall and powerful, and that it is about cooperation. Literally the cooperation of the two sides of your brain, of the left and the right. Literally the two sides of your world, literally the two sides of you, allowing everything now to come into alignment, to be empowered, to be in strength, and of course to be in justice. And justice is now coming up to what we would call a higher octave, where the justice is not necessarily about black and white, but it is about justice for all. Justice for the plants, justice for the skies, justice for the animals, justice for all people. So as you are coming into this place, dear loved ones, you might find that you have a slightly louder voice or a slightly quieter voice. You might find that you are seeking more places where there is quiet, or more places where there is loudness. Finding that place where you can come back into balance in yourself. The time of balancing is now. So as you feel the energies in your body, in your spirit, in your emotional realm, just feel everything becoming balanced, finding this alignment. And as you find this alignment, we invite you to share this balance and this alignment with your earth body, with the earth mother, and with the waters of earth. Really allow this time to concentrate, to focus on bringing balance to these two elements of your field, to earth and to water. And do this with love and with gratitude and with the generosity that comes truly from the heart center. And as we say this, dear loved ones, feel your heart center now growing, widening, opening, spreading the love in all directions. Not worried about what I receive and what I expect, but just being the lighthouse, just spreading the love and spreading the light in all directions. Feeling this love welling up within yourselves. Feeling the immensity of your potential. We thank you. We are the master teachers and we are complete. So that's a nice, powerful meditation to send us off into the year.
Fabulous.
Whew.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Suzy, and your angelic guidance master teachers. Okay. So as we finish up, we are StokeTheFire.guru. That's where you can find out about what we do, and you can watch us on YouTube every Monday and hear as we keep you up to date with what's going on. Or, as Suzy has said, you can sign up at StokeTheFire.guru for a very nominal fee. You can just get the essence of our message every Sunday evening so that you are prepared for the week ahead and energized for it. So have a beautiful week. Suzy?
Happy New Year, everybody. I hope that 2018 is the year for all of us to come into that incredibly beautiful, peaceful alignment, and hope to see everyone and hear from everyone. We love to hear from our friends, and love now. Thank you.